We are live. Welcome to Litigate on Fire. I am attorney Amanda Schaefer. This is episode number 2, continuing child support challenges in the New York family courts. Before I get to the episode, quick reminder, don't forget to like us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you are watching. So let's start with a quick recap of what we talked about in episode number 1. This came out of some frustration I was experiencing with a case, a child support case. And I'm going to give you the basic facts so we're all up to speed. Client was appearing pro se. He missed court back in March of 2022. At the time, he lived in Egypt, and a few days before his court, there was daylight savings time in the U.S. Hours you spring ahead. It went ahead an hour. He didn't realize it because he was in his native country, where they did not have daylight savings times actually until this year. So he missed court, and court entered a default order against him. And the amount that they entered, the child support against him, was not what he was earning. At the time, he was back in his country waiting for his H-1B visa. The petition was approved, but he was waiting for the consulate to open because it had been COVID. And so he had just been waiting to get his H-1B, come back here and work his H-1B job. The problem was that the default order was based off of the salary he would have made as an H-1B employee, but there's a huge income disparity in Egypt. It's like a tenth of what you would make here in the same profession. So he couldn't really make the same money, and he fell behind child support, and his arrears got piled up. He didn't even know because they were sending notices to a U.S. address, even though he told the court he didn't live there. And he comes back to the country, finds out they're going to suspend his driver's license. He was past the date for challenging it, even though he tried to challenge it, but the Child Support Collection Unit, or CSU, said it's too late, so we're not treating this as a challenge. It's a correspondence. You gotta pay, basically. So he wrongfully filed an objection to the default order. It wasn't his fault. You didn't know. The objection actually was granted in one specific part for the judge to explain why they didn't consider his business expenses, but otherwise they wouldn't vacate the default order. Because the correct procedural mechanism would be a motion to vacate, which he then did file within a year of the order. That had been pending. He then, when his driver's license actually got suspended and he lost his job, he had to find another H-1B job, which he was lucky that he did because his job required him to drive to different work sites. So you can get a restricted driver's license if your driver's license is suspended due to failure to pay child support, but you can only drive to one work site and home. So that wasn't going to work for him. So we filed an emergency order to show cause to have the court order CSU and DMV to lift his driver's license restrictions and issue him a full driver's license again so he could do his job and pay his child support. So we did that, and the court granted it. They granted the motion, and actually we were able to get the other party, the mother of the children, to agree, because the reality was that he couldn't just work at Starbucks or Home Depot or McDonald's, because he had to work in an H-1B job or he would be in violation of his status, and then he'd never be able to afford the child support. So we were excited about it, but then he went to the DMV and showed them the order, and they said, no, they can't tell us to do this. And we were like, okay, like not really sure how to handle them denying it. But then a few weeks later, end of recap,